What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the show. It is good to be back here in the States after my week-long appointment in Singapore. Drop in the comments if you guys want me to leave more often so we can get more pumps like this. If you don't know what I'm talking about, at the moment, just minutes ago, Bitcoin topped $126,000 per coin. And as Bitcoin is now at new all-time highs, what does that mean for altcoins? Because the altcoins have a long way to go to the upside as well. In today's show, we're going to look at those charts. We're going to look at the news. We're going to tell you what you should be expecting next. But first, before we do that, make sure you smash that like button right now. We have a brand new channel. We're up to 5,000 subscribers at this point, which means this weekend we will have some giveaways on Friday. But make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're smashing that like. I got the whole team here today with me. I got Smay. I got Shrum. Boys, how are we feeling today?
I'm doing great, Tim, personally. This was a weekend of sports, and this next weekend is going to be even more of that. Nothing more I could possibly ask for. It was awesome. The Gators won against Texas, and then there was a great UFC card, and now I'm going to be traveling to Pittsburgh to watch the Steelers play against the Browns in Pittsburgh.
There we go.
So I'm excited, Tim.
Very good. Yeah, Shrum, what'd you guys do here without me? I mean, I was gone for the whole week. What'd you guys have parties over here in the States? What'd you guys do?
Oh, man, we mostly watched Hokies Virginia Tech football clips, highlights. And let me just say, it was a lot of fun. But I had a great weekend, Tim. I'm better than I deserve. Today was kind of my wife and I's flex weekend. We got a lot of chores done. But we did make it out to a local winery and had some delicious wines. I don't drink wine often, but I do enjoy a nice wine here and there. A nice buttery Chardonnay, if you will. So, good stuff.
There we go. Guys, I want to apologize to everybody. We were 10 minutes late here, and that is probably the worst offense we have ever had. We pride ourselves very much so here about not running late, but it turns out when you leave the country and you unplug everything out of your laptop and then you come back, for some reason, it doesn't just go right back to the settings you left it on. So we literally were plugging in for like the last 30 minutes after getting everything set up. We have been messing with my settings, cannot get it to work fully. You guys can see clearly I'm here. You hear me. You might see a delay. I'm no longer connected to the internet via cord. We are now on Wi-Fi. So Lord bless this Wi-Fi immensely. Let no storms take us out because we got a show to run. We got crypto to talk about. It's one of those things like legitimately my brain was like, this is absolutely stupid. Maybe we just cancel the show. And then you're like, we cannot cancel a show on an all-time high day with this kind of news. People need to know what's going on. So bear with us. If this is a rough show to the new channel, we'll have everything fixed by Wednesday. We'll be rocking. We'll be rolling. With that said, anything else you boys want to say before we get into the meat of the content here?
Yeah, well, I think a question a lot of people are asking is, are we going to continue to pump higher? Is this the week that we see $130,000 for Bitcoin? Or, now that we may have closed some candles above 125, or we just kind of go sideways? Was this the next leg up? Or, the other possibility, do we go down and test some support levels to the downside? I think that we have some good answers to some of those questions. Obviously not complete answers because we don't have a crystal ball, but we're going to definitely explore what the answers might be.
There we go. Well, let's jump on into it. Let's take a look. Let's start off with the bubbles. What are the bubbles doing with us today here? You can see a sea of green off camera behind my face. There's another big bubble called Stark over here, up almost 30%. Let's see if I can drag it over. No need to take my face down, Smay. You're good. There we go. It's coming. 29%. Other than that, a lot of other smaller coins over there. Bigger gainers, Aster, Cake, Mantle, TAO. They are all up and doing quite well. Speaking of, we're going to talk about it later. How many of you guys in chat got into those 4 coins I talked about last week? The coins I was looking to trade in the month of October. Drop me a 1 in chat if you guys got in on some of those trades. I normally keep that kind of intel for our VIP trading group, but I thought, you know what? I'm away. People aren't getting access to me. I can only make so many videos over here in Singapore. Let me get some trade setups for the people. And so far, they are smashing it. Let me know if you guys were able to jump in last week. Otherwise, stick around. We'll do some charts on that front. Let's take a look at a couple other things here that you need to be aware of. Now, I'm really bullish right now. I think a lot of things are going to move us to the upside. I'm actually about to show you another thing on the opposite spectrum of what I'm looking at right now, but I want to be very clear. I want to be very open with you guys because we love to bring up the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index when it's negative or when it's really low in the fear, right? Not as many people like to bring it up when we're in the greed, but that's exactly what has happened here. After being only a couple of days removed from the lowest we've seen in months, a fear rate of 28, we are back up close to the highs of this year at 71 on the greed index. Come down here and take a look. Let's look at the 1 year mark here on the chart for this. This one, you might need to take my face down here, Smay, so people can see the fullness of this chart. But you can see here, again, just a couple of short days ago, all the way back here at the end of September, we were down to 28. We have skyrocketed back up here into the greed, back to levels we kind of spent a lot of the summer at before correcting down to that 28. What does this mean overall? Bring my face back up here. Don't freak out. Don't run for the hills. Be aware, though, that we are back in the greed when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, the good news here is if you were to go over and take a look at the crypto altcoin fear and greed index on CoinMarketCap, we're still sitting in neutral at 59. What does this tell me? It tells me that more than likely, if we are going to look at some sort of profit taking to happen in the world of cryptocurrency, more than likely it's going to be heavily the Bitcoin people taking profit, whereas altcoins have not yet gotten back up into that greed. Could we see this be a continuation of a altcoin season and Bitcoin dominance crusher? Speaking of, let's go take a look at those charts and analyze what is going on here. Like we said beforehand, we hit new all-time highs. We technically actually did it Saturday night. If you guys were around Saturday night, that's what this wick was. It belongs to yesterday's candle, Sunday the 5th. But it actually happened Saturday night around 10 p.m. or a little after 10 p.m. We hit a new all-time high on Bitcoin, getting back up above the high set way back here on August 14th. That was about 124,500. We set that marker Saturday night, but once again today, we have broke back above. We need to see this confirm and continue to push to the upside. You don't want to see just a lot of playing around in this area. Let's go ahead and get a nice confirmation move on Bitcoin that we have big moves to the upside. The good news, I don't necessarily think we're ready to turn over just yet. On the daily chart, you are a little overextended. You can see on the Luxago oscillator, there's a red reversal dot. Don't worry about that. I think I said that in the video last week. Don't worry about that dot yet. It's when we get a gray dot and potentially negative money flow that you should start to potentially worry about a pullback. What I'm seeing here, MACD is overextended. The RSI is above the 70. The Luxago oscillator is high, but it's not out of control just yet. But be aware of that. That is going to be something we are watching on the daily chart to tell us, hey, are we in trouble? With that said, as we hit new all-time highs, what's the weekly chart telling us? Well, we never got a green reversal dot to cancel out the red one back here. You do see on the weekly chart, after confirming a green dot a couple of weeks ago, the money flow does look like it's going back to the upside. So there's a lot of positivity right now in some of our longer time frames for Bitcoin. But I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here with Bitcoin. I want to do one more piece of analysis and we'll kind of move on to the altcoin sector, talk about some news that affects the entire markets. But just to give a stab at what we can expect to happen next, what do you do with technical analysis when a coin gets to a new all-time high? You can't go back and say, well, what's the former resistance say? We've never been at this level before. You can take a look at trends for sure. You're going to see a lot of people look at trend lines, whether they're looking at the logarithmic scale and maybe taking a look at maybe something like this and saying, hey, watch out for the range about 130,000. You might see some people go back towards a linear scale and maybe go back and tie some charts from way, way back here and say, oh, on a higher end, we could actually make a move all the way up here towards 135, 140 before it's all said and done. But I myself like to take a look at Fibonacci extension movements. And I'm going to tell you a couple of areas. It's impossible to know with 100% certainty where Bitcoin will top at the next big spike, but some areas to be aware of where profit taking will happen. Let's go to the high we had back in August compared to the low we had in September and take a look at some different levels of significance. Number one, the 1.272 is coming in just below 130,000. So for the sake of giving us a nice clean number, let's just call it 130K. That was actually, again, coincidentally kind of in place there with the longer term trend line. If you only go back to the highs of December, that would kind of be right there in line with a trend line of resistance. However, This is one I think that you really should be looking a little bit higher here towards 137, 140, up to that golden pocket extension. That's the shorter time frame movement, right? That doesn't mean that we necessarily hit it and then hit brand new lows. It just means somewhere here between 130 and 137, we should look for at least consolidation, if not a smaller pullback, to confirm this as support levels before continuing to the upside. On a much larger scale, a target that we've been talking about now for quite some time would be still looking back, as we are still in a bull trend from a longer movement. What about the Fibonacci extension from a longer time period here, and taking a look all the way up here above 140 as the golden pocket extension from earlier this year? Once again, I want to be clear here. I am not saying that this is the top of the bull market. I want you guys to vote in the poll right now. There's a poll. How high do you think we'll actually get? It looks like the majority of you are voting 150K as being the top. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think we actually push towards, if not over 200K before it's all said and done. But that doesn't mean we won't have some stopping points along the way. I mean, clearly, if you look back here, back in April, we were at 74,400. And while right now we're at 125, 126,000, clearly there were some sell-off zones along the way. That's kind of what I'm talking about here as well. I don't believe we're going to see a straight shot to 200K here for Bitcoin. There's going to be some choppiness. So where we're taking some slight profit on our swing trades, where we're looking for pullbacks to buy dips, that is something we're going to be keeping our eyes on. And there's some big resistance levels to watch between $130,000 and $140,000. What does that mean? It means stick around, subscribe to the channel, watch the charts daily with us, because we're going to be looking, as we hit those resistance levels, we will be looking at what do the daily charts, maybe even the weekly charts, look like. Are we getting reversal indicators on the oscillators? Are we seeing some weakness in volume? That will be our cue to take some light profit, look for a pullback, and jump in once again. Stick around for the news portion. We'll go really in depth on the news portion as to why we think the bull market still has a long way to go to the upside. I'm going to take a small break because we have some other altcoins we got to take a look at here. I just realized with a whole new channel, we don't have like any moderators. So Smay and Shrum, if you guys want to deputize some OG names in here to moderate the channel, that would probably be much appreciated. Like Crux for sure needs to be a blue name in there. And I trust you guys. If you see another name that should be a moderator, let them get it. But I'm going to continue on here. Let's transition from Bitcoin into the altcoin space. But I got to take a look at the Bitcoin Dominance Chart. This is going to be a big deal when we're talking about altcoin season and what that's going to look like going forward. Some of you know that we had a big surge in Bitcoin dominance over the last couple of weeks. You can see we got back up as high, even today, as high as 59.37%. I watched online as people were freaking out. Even some people I really respect, really love. Ben Cowan, who was predicting a move back above a 60% move, he was kind of gloating the last couple of days, saying he's called it. We're going back up. But if you've been watching our channel, and again, this one's not very old, but if you've been familiar with the Tim Warren team that's existed for almost 3 years now, we talk a lot about Bitcoin dominance, and we haven't hit it perfectly. Definitely sometimes we missed the mark a little bit, but I feel like we've been pretty decently spot on with targets to watch of where support and resistance really sit. And I've told you guys for the last couple of weeks, I think we're coming on a month and a half now, as long as we stayed below this daily smart trail indicator, right? We had a buy signal come in. No one neglected this. I am very big about when you see green reversals, bullish momentums, and positive money flows, it is not ridiculous to get a move back up towards this smart trail if it's above you, okay? But as long as we don't break above it, we are A-okay. And you can see here, while we didn't technically touch it, we got very, very close. I'm not promising you that the Bitcoin dominance top for this little run is in. What I'm reminding you is we're in a good spot right now. As long as we stay below 60% dominance, as long as we do not close multiple daily candles above this smart trail, canceling it out, the resistance stays in touch right there. And this is going to bring major upside for altcoins. One of the biggest ones, I'm going to go more in depth on this in tomorrow's video, so I'm not going to go crazy in depth here. Ethereum is the number one reason why Bitcoin dominance is falling right now. Why? Because it has the greatest ability to steal market cap away from Bitcoin, bringing that dominance to the downside. So stick around for that video tomorrow. You can see right now Ethereum is wrestling with its own daily smart trail. If that breaks and makes a move to the upside, Watch the Bitcoin Dominance Chart tumble. Watch altcoins go berserk. It's like Ethereum is the leader of the altcoin season. All altcoins are kind of watching what's Ethereum's next move. Are people going to sell right here at resistance, or will the bulls come through? Will they solidify that resistance is not strong enough to hold them back? And all of a sudden, boom, we're talking about Ethereum back up over $5,000. Talking about altcoins starting to push towards all-time highs in the next couple of weeks. Altcoin season, we've been waiting all year for it. Are we seeing the next leg saying it's about to come? Again, I'll kind of save some more Ethereum thoughts for tomorrow's video. Let's check in on some of those coins, though, we traded last week and see what is going on. XRP here. If you guys were watching last week, I had a video. I had one video was a standalone Chainlink video. By the way, shout out to my Chainlink shirt right here. If you want a Chainlink shirt, I think there's a link in the description with a new merch store where you can get shirts just like this. I think on the back, you can see a little old Investing Bros logo. Go check it out right there. But I had a Chainlink video, and then I had another video with 3 coins I'm looking to trade in October. Take a look at how this played out for me. I got my entry by the skin of my teeth. Some of you remember I said, hey, I'm looking for a pullback here to 294 on XRP. Sure enough, that is where we got in. I actually had a deeper one down towards 285 for just in case. Did not get my lower entry, but with a 4x entry here on my XRP trade, I'm already in profit here. I probably will be moving my stop loss into break even soon. I will look for a take profit one around 314 and then a longer take profit up towards 338. But that's a check on how XRP is going. It did pull back down to my 4-hour smart trail right there. And now we're getting a nice boost to the upside. Like I said, Chainlink was another coin. Big breakout here happening on Chainlink. This is one I did get my lower entry of 2176 here on a 4x trade. We not only are in the profit, this is one I need to go ahead and move my stop loss into break even. I'm very close to having my first take profit level at $24 taken. My second one up here at $26.87 is going to be big. But one of the reasons this is a big move here for Link, and I want to see volume kind of start pouring in to confirm this, but we have been in a falling channel here on the 4-hour chart since back here in late August. Lower highs and lower lows. Let's get up here and above 24.88 to confirm this breakout. But with resistance being broken right now, we could see Chainlink go even a little higher than what I have it posted at here in the chat. We could see it go up here towards 27.15 to fulfill the breakout of this falling channel. So keep an eye out there. But if you're entered in this trade, you've got some great spots still to make some profit here with Chainlink. Last two we were taking a look at. ONDO, nice profit here. This is one I did get my lower entry. Let me turn this back on. We got down to that smart trail. We got to my lowest level at 90.4 cents. I said I wanted to take a stab there. Sure enough, we got my entry position. We got my first one as well at 93 cents, but you can see we are heavily, heavily in profit with a take profit level up here towards $1 and our main take profit up towards $1.13. So there you go. You have that right there. Again, kind of confirming what happened here. One of the reasons we entered into this trade was because of this strong bounce off former resistance. I told you guys I did not think that ONDO would be revisiting below this level before making a big break to the upside. And right now, it's looking very good. In fact, this chart reminds me, don't let me forget this, Shrum. I'm going to finish setting up these trades we did last week, kind of showing people how they're performing. And I want to show you one of the big reasons I'm excited about these altcoins going berserk. But that was the ONDO one. The last one here, BitTensor TAO. Check it out. Did not get my lowest level. I was looking for 308 as my lowest potential entry. That's okay. I got my other one here at 314. This one I actually have already taken profit. My stop loss is moved to break even. We're starting to push towards my second entry. I took take profit one here at 338. My second level, 372. Does it happen by the end of the day? Possibly. We got a big, big tear to the upside. Let me show you a chart right now that is part of the reason why this breakout stuff is happening. It's called the Total 3 chart. Now, if you're newer to technical analysis, that's okay. Love you guys. So glad you're here. Total chart. If you look at the total chart, like if you were to just go into TradingView and type in total, this shows us, I gotta go to the weekly candles for this. This would show us the price action, the market cap of every single cryptocurrency out there, including Bitcoin, right? So at the moment, we're above $4.25 trillion in crypto overall. This is a market cap. I think by the end of it, we're going to be closer to, if not above, 11 trillion. So still a long way to go. More than a 2x left in crypto all the way around. Total 2, if you type in Total 2 to your chart, this is all of cryptocurrency excluding Bitcoin. So in other words, you're including Ethereum. You can see here on Total 2, we're making a pretty good breakout right here. This is why I'm so excited about altcoins. A breakout above resistance, but what is this level we're kind of watching in play right now? With a big sweeping rounding bottom that happened between late 2021 up until matching this and carrying another neckline here in December of 24. After this healthy pullback, this is what we call a cup and handle formation. Now, if you ever take the Academy lessons, sign up for our VIP trading group. If you want to learn trading, there's 2 ways we teach people to trade this. I'll tell you the more aggressive way, and then I'll talk to you about maybe the more conservative way. I myself like to trade the conservative method. But I've seen aggressive takers treat this like an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Some people might even say this is one because you kind of see a little bit of a left shoulder right here as well. But no matter how you cut it, the aggressive way of trading this would be to take the distance from the neckline or the cup level down to the bottom of the cup and move it to the breakout spot. As we are looking right now at a possible breakout confirming over the next 2 weeks, this would be a price target for Total 2, meaning all cryptocurrencies excluding Bitcoin, to make its way all the way up towards $6.75 trillion in market cap. Do some quick math with me, everybody. If Bitcoin maintains or is around a 50% dominance, which is something we predicted for quite some time now, and this is at 6.75 trillion, that means we are sitting at a $13.5 trillion market cap. I would love to see it. You would love to see it. I'm not so certain that that's the way we should be looking at this chart and trading it, but the more conservative way is to just take the length of the handle. If this is the cup where you're going to store your coffee and your tea or whatever you guys want to drink, the handle right here, the length of that handle is what we're looking for a more conservative breakout approach. This is still a major pump for cryptocurrencies, as it would send crypto up to $3.5 trillion in Total 2 market cap. If Bitcoin, again, is around that 50% mark, we're talking about more than $7 trillion. I don't necessarily think that's going to be the top, but it will be an area to watch with this chart kind of forming the way it is. Let's wait and see. Do we see top signals when the total crypto market cap is in the world of roughly $7 trillion? That is something I absolutely will be watching. In a nutshell, though, big breakout for this chart. Guess what that means? It means altcoins are preparing to rip to upside. Last thing here, and then I'll move it over to Shrum. A little bit different show today because with all the glitches, I don't have the notes for the news. So Shrum is going to be running news and updating us on what's going on. I'll give you my takes on that stuff as well. But look at this. If you guys are wondering, is the bottom in for Bitcoin? Is the bottom in for altcoins? Let me give you a little bit of evidence aside from the chart's bullish price actions to kind of say this is more than likely a very bullish scenario. Now, this is a liquidation chart. This is specifically long liquidations. And if you look at this very long green wick right over here, this is a tweet that was brought to our attention by Quentin, a guy that I've been following now for a little bit of time, really like his work. But he talked about how this was the biggest, largest long liquidation in a year that happened right before October. What do we mean? The most amount of longs the entire year of 2025 happened just a week and some change ago. Why? Let's play a little bit of the why game. Why do we see so many liquidations, and why was it so significant? The reason why is because we got to our position where we were over leveraged on Bitcoin. Let's go to the daily chart here. We were over positioned by Bitcoin, and the whales who wanted to buy a dip decided, you know what? Even though a lot of the news is bullish, even though there's a lot of reason with rate cuts and so many other things happening in crypto to send prices to the upside, we'll let the stock market run. We'll let gold run, which, by the way, gold's up at 3,900 today per ounce. There was a liquidation move to the downside so that they could buy the dip before the next major boom to the upside. We preach every day on the show to watch out and beware of market manipulation. Just because the price action goes a certain direction for a period of time does not dictate what the long-term movements mean, But sometimes we see whales, institutions, large money players manipulate prices so that they can buy as cheap as possible before the big run-ups. One of the biggest and most definitive ways they can manipulate markets is by finding and exposing long positions, buy positions, over-leveraged positions liquidate to the downside, freaking the markets out, convincing the bears to come out of the woodwork and say, guys, the bear market is here, the bear market is here, only to flip the script and a week later be at an all-time high with signs that we're far from being over. Guys, that evidence right there, when I look at that chart and I'm looking at liquidations, all-time high liquidations this year happening right before this boom, hard not to see that as a confirmation the bottom is in. For more on that, I want to throw it over to T Shroom over here. If you guys are enjoying the show so far, make sure to smash that like. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Shroom, what's happening in the news that's also giving us such a good feeling today about crypto? And he's muted.
There we go. That was my fault. Not Smay's fault. That was my fault. Yeah, but this little news segment here is going to be a really interesting one. Go ahead and strap in. Thank you, decrypted.tax, for making our tax very simple. If you're looking for tax services, go check them out. Link in the description for decrypted.tax. We'll start over here on my screen here with Morgan Stanley's weekly report. It included a rare but official green light for its 16,000 financial advisors to start pitching crypto and Bitcoin to its clients. And it also mentions an allocation of 4% being applicable, being necessary. So that's a really, really big change, because before this, Morgan Stanley was one of those kind of stodgy old Wall Street banks that, may have had a positive headline or two about crypto, but stopped short of actually authorizing its registered investment advisors to go ahead and start initiating the conversations about investing in crypto and Bitcoin with its clients. Now we are on the other side of that. It is a very, very big day for crypto. This is not a drill. This is a very big headline, especially if you take into consideration the executive order that Donald Trump put into action around 401ks being able to buy spot crypto. Now, that hasn't passed yet, but it's on the desk of a very pro-crypto Securities and Exchange Commissioner, Paul Atkins. So it's almost a sure thing that's going to pass, and folks will be able to put spot Bitcoin, spot crypto into their IRAs. Now, it's probably not going to be all cryptos, but we'll see. Maybe they will. We'll have to find out about that one. But Tim, does this seem as big as I think it is? Do you think I'm overplaying it? What are your thoughts here on this Morgan Stanley headline?
I think it is very big. Now, a lot of these people, there's going to be other big news that's bigger than this, but this is important because there are a lot of TradFi investors out there that are swayed by the likes of the Warren Buffetts of the world, who have told people historically, stay away from Bitcoin. One of the biggest reasons that people stay away from Bitcoin when they don't know much about it. You got to remember, when you're extremely, extremely wealthy, and I'm not talking about a person who has $1 million in their bank. That's great. If that's you, good for you. You're doing great. There are people who stack hundreds of millions of dollars in their bank accounts. There are people that stack billions in their bank accounts. And they are not so worried about the death of the dollar. They're not so worried about centralization versus decentralization. They're just wanting to protect their investments. They're no longer risky investors. Maybe they were, because they had to kind of build that wealth at some point, but they can afford to grow their portfolios by 5 to 10% per year, and that equals millions of dollars being increased, versus you and me when we increase by 5%. That's a nice couple $100, maybe a couple $1,000. They're more conservative. And one of the things that they like to do is stay in what they know and stay in what is safe. They don't go outside of what their advisors tell them about. They want to make sure that regulation from the government and from large banking entities is aligned with their investments. So those types of traders, again, multi-million/billionaires, they're waiting for confirmation and safe routes. They're not creating a Coinbase account. They're not signing up for Robinhood. They are waiting for their bank like Morgan Stanley, their investing firm like Morgan Stanley, to say, hey, green light, good to go. We think this is a safe investment. And now that money pours in. I can't wait till more regulation comes out and some of these large entities like Morgan Stanley themselves start buying Bitcoin to add to their balance sheet, but them telling their extremely wealthy clients, hey, we actually now give this a green pass. That is a good sign. And I'll tell you why it's a good sign, Shrum. I was going to save this for a little bit later, but I think it's important I cover this here, and I want your feedback as well. So maybe go split screen on this one, Smay. We were talking about this right before my camera malfunctioned in the show, right? So we're talking about this. Then I realized my camera is not working. That's why we're 10 minutes late to the show. All of the headlines that we're going to read through the rest of the show, and especially this one, a large institutional investor saying, hey, we're giving our clients the green light to buy. Historically, this is a sign of manipulation that I do not like. I don't like when large entities start telling their clients, go buy this asset. Why? Especially people like JP Morgan. I don't know as much about Morgan Stanley and their history of manipulation. I know JP Morgan historically lies to their clients. Historically, they lie to them so that when they want to sell an asset, they tell their clients, go buy.
Allegedly.
And when they want to buy an asset, they tell their clients to go sell, right? They constantly do the exact opposite. Here's why I don't think that's what's happening. Because I don't think that their clients at Morgan Stanley have any Bitcoin. I don't think that Morgan Stanley themselves has that much Bitcoin. We see very little evidence, if any, that massive retail investors are coming to the space. And it's actually quite weird. We're getting close to what should be the end of the 4-year cycle, or the top of the 4-year cycle, even though I don't think it's going to make it. I'm actually genuinely surprised that we are not seeing more new investors, new retail investors coming into the space. This is a situation where historically I would have looked at this article and said this is a top signal, but there's almost no evidence to suggest to me that we have the liquidity from brand new investors to make a top signal. I think this one is actually genuine. I think this one's going to actually translate into bullish news. Now, you can fade that information. As you guys see at the beginning of our show, we now have a nice disclaimer. This is not financial advice. If this scares you, I understand why. If you're concerned to hear a large bank say, go buy Bitcoin, that makes perfect sense to me. That's how I normally operate. But with everything that I'm seeing going on, I have this sneaky feeling that this is not one of those. This is one of those actually no, a bank telling people to go buy Bitcoin is good because there's no one to foot out of the space right now. We just had the largest liquidation last week. There's no more liquidations down there to go expose and bring back down. What do you think about that, Shrum?
Well, this is also a little bit different. Like if you look at the nature of how they published this information, this is in their essentially like a global newsletter to all of their financial advisors, and all of their clients will read this newsletter. It's just kind of free. It's public the day they post it. So what this is it's information that's out there. Now, a lot of hands were needed to write something like this. So a lot of people knew that this information was going to go out. Not insider trading at all for folks at Morgan Stanley to say, hey, by the way, Joe, this newsletter we're about to put out, it's actually the first time I think we've ever talked about an allocation for crypto. It's kind of exciting. And then you multiply that by like hundreds of conversations that are happening internally to Morgan Stanley. I think that rumor alone is probably what pushed Bitcoin up over some of the resistance it was facing over the last 2 weeks, right? And now has pushed us all the way to the upside now that the rest of retail understands what this means. It's a really big deal, right? And it's only one bank. It's not like they fired all the ammo here and Wall Street doesn't have anything else going on. They still have several other banks, Vanguard and several others that are still even more stodgy than Morgan Stanley, even more impatient to get their clients into something like crypto. So this is a big deal, and the way that they publish this information makes me think that there were some folks who realized the gravity of this, probably in their probably some younger folks who work around folks who write the newsletters over at Morgan Stanley and just do their the public insights that they publish, and they were just like, well, hey, I mean, if this is going out this week, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. And it doesn't take much of it, to start to move Bitcoin to the upside when you have a bunch of big pockets on Wall Street, knowing that something like this is going to go out. So this is big. I'm, more bullish than ever. Could we see a pullback? Does this mean we go up forever? Absolutely not. It's not how things work. But this is definitely very big. Yeah.
Agreed. 100% agreed. What else we got on the news front here today?
Absolutely. We got some big headlines here for Binance and for Chainlink. Binance Chain integrates Chainlink to bring official U.S. economic data on chain. So a couple of weeks ago, we heard the Secretary of Commerce under the Trump administration talk about bringing the U.S. labor and inflation data on chain. And this is really the first headline that has leapt out with names, to my knowledge, that are going to be bringing this information to us. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that one, Tim, but I'm a little bit surprised to see Binance listed on here. But, hey, it's a pretty solid chain. And it's reaching all-time highs, by the way. But obviously, the one that we care about is the one that we've been very bullish on, which is Chainlink. So Tim, take it away. What do you think this means? Do you think it's ultimately a nothing burger, or do you think that the publicity alone is going to get to the right ears on Wall Street to institutions, and we might see a big surge in the price of Chainlink?
Oh, it's going to be a big surge for Chainlink and BNB, by the way. We don't talk about BNB a lot on this channel. It is one of the largest coins. In fact, I think it's number 4. I think it's right behind XRP. Let me fact check myself on that real quickly, going to CoinMarketCap and confirming this. It's well, I don't count Tether, right? So whenever you guys hear me say a number, I'm usually saying in terms of just altcoins in general. It's number 5 because it's behind Tether at number 4, but it's above Solana. Right. And this is a large coin that continues to rip to the upside. Like you said, it's hit new all-time highs recently. It's at $1,200 per coin right now, $170 billion market cap. And I don't think it's done. Why? Because it is connected to the largest exchange in the world, Binance. And it's operating like an amazing layer 1 solution. The only reason why I don't invest heavily in it is not actually because I don't think BNB is a good investment. It's more because I already have Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Solana. I already have a lot of coins up in that top grouping that I don't think I can get a whole lot of extra return on compared to maybe lower cap altcoins that you have greater X's in your investment. I hope nobody has heard us or not heard us talk about BNB and thought, oh, they must hate BNB and think BNB is going to crash and burn and die. The exact opposite. I think BNB is going to maintain a pretty high ranking and a high grouping. I just don't see a whole lot of X's left on it when it's sitting at $170 billion in market cap. But again, got to say the same thing for the likes of like XRP and Ethereum. Anyone at this point expecting a 10X for any of those coins I just mentioned in this bull run, 15, 20 years, let's have a different conversation. But in the next year and some change or less, you're not going to get 10X on any of those coins. With that said, the significance of Chainlink partnering, it's just another big collaboration for a coin that, let's check that one. Chainlink's market cap currently $15.8 billion. This is a project that I believe will have multiple hundreds. I think at least 100 billion, if not $200 to $300 billion market cap, possibly by the time this particular bull market is over. A lot more X's to come on that one right there. Massive news for Chainlink. This is going to be a very, very big deal moving forward. Good price action today, but I don't even think what we're seeing happen right now is fully telling the tale of what happens when you're going to see BNB and Binance utilizing Chainlink to trade real-world assets. A lot of money to be made when we get the whole Asian market access to the United States stock market via real world tokens. Do not sleep on this news. It's very important.
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. Very big. Chainlink is a big part of my portfolio, and I like it. It's definitely performed well so far for me. Another coin that may have...
Real quick. Well, I want to respond to one thing, because Dits for Buying says BNB is ultra manipulated. Recently has been ultra manipulated to the upside. We actually talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Manipulated isn't always negative. Manipulated just means sometimes the price action doesn't make sense. But guess who? You're not wrong, Dips for Buying. So anyone out there is wondering, is he telling the truth when you see that comment, BNB ultra manipulated? It is. Who is it manipulated by, though? It's manipulated by Binance. What do they stand to benefit from manipulation to the downside or manipulation to the upside? They'd prefer for their native token to go to the upside. The manipulation in the last couple of weeks, last month and some change has been, I believe, manipulating of taking some resources from altcoins, weakening them, and transitioning that power into BNB. So you're right, it gets manipulated. But if you think that's necessarily an inherently negative thing and that means that coin is doomed to crash, that's not true either. That manipulation is by a big player who only stands to gain from the price increase of that asset. So good point, but it's not a reason to stay away from it investing wise. Sorry, you can continue.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, we'll just jump right into this next one here. PLUME, getting a nice bullish headline. PLUME has registered a transfer agent with the Securities and Exchange Commission. PLUME earns SEC approval as transfer agent. Now, this one is actually big for the wider tokenization narrative, in my opinion. But this is also just obviously very bullish for PLUME. Tim, maybe we can pull up PLUME here in a second on the charts. but it's up like more than 20% today. So that's very exciting here on October 6th. But why is this bigger for the broader tokenization world? Well, because tokenization around the world is a given, and eventually it's a given. But the way that the United States handles securities, tokenization is not necessarily a given, right? And that's part of the reason why I think coins like ONDO are maybe not skyrocketing as fast as we may have thought it would, is because of the Clarity Act. The Clarity Act needs to come out, and it needs to essentially greenlight tokenization and RWA. So why is this headline good? Well, because if the Clarity Act wasn't going to pass, if the SEC was hearing rumblings from Congress that the Clarity Act was just dead on arrival, it's never going to pass, then they wouldn't be approving the applications for transfer agent from a Web3 company. So that's exciting for me as someone who's just excited and invested quite heavily into the tokenization narrative. Tokenization, again, not a given here in the United States. Eventually, I think it does pass regardless, but there's a chance that under the Trump administration, they have to prioritize other things, and they just can't put their weight behind tokenization. So we'll see. Don't put too much stock into that. I think ultimately tokenization is going to be very successful in the mid and short to mid term. But there is an off chance that the Clarity Act just doesn't specify that tokenization is or isn't a security, and if that's okay, and how the Securities and Exchange Commission has to handle that. It's going to be opaque, but hopefully we get to a point where that is going to be a full free market. And headlines like this definitely assure me that we will get there sooner rather than later. So Tim, are you still bullish on Plume, especially after this awesome headline?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you guys missed it because you weren't following our other channel, we called Plume. And again, I say called. We really called it kind of late comparatively what we could have. We talked about it way back here. Go to my screen, Smay. We talked about it back in mid to late August, and we talked about on 8 cent mark, around the 8.4 cent mark. We said, watch out for this. Why? Because it was listed in a United States government document as a part of the future of cryptocurrency. What does that mean? It means the U.S. government kind of stamped their approval on it. Since then, after a short correction here to end into September, we've had some big pumps in here, with today's candle being one of the largest daily candles I've seen. How we end up closing today is going to be a big question. Keep an eye on this. This is a newer project. I would say keep an eye when we start to get a breakout. There's going to be 2 spots I'm watching. The first one's going to be in this camp back around 20 to maybe 25 cents, kind of the highs from back in May. The other one is, this is a coin that when it was created shot up on one day. It shot up all the way to $1.20 and then came back down. However, this is one based on the low market cap it has, based on the early access you get to it. I won't be surprised at all to see Plume go well above $1.23, but it's going to be a level where I think some people look to take profit simply because of that wick. A lot of room to the upside between us and there, right? Just that zone alone, we're talking about a 941% gain. That's a 10.4x to the upside just to match former all-time high. Again, I believe this is a coin that could, keyword there is could go higher than that. But in a nutshell, I'm not worried right now on the daily chart. We just have a fresh buy signal coming in here. Green reversal, bullish momentum. That money flow is just getting positive. It's a brand new chart, so I only have so much data to go by. But you can see here, we are working to break this daily smart trail. After that, we're working to break the cloud. Oh, the weekly chart. That's why I kind of went back to former resistance levels. It's not a chart old enough to have significant resistance levels other than former horizontal resistance. That's why 20 to 25 cents and then $1.21 is going to be very important to watch for people taking profit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last story, you can go to my full screen here, Smay, and then take me off. What you're looking at here is the ETF inflows of all time. And you can see that the most recent bar here is the second highest ever. Now, this is just the weeklies. If I toggle over to daily, right, there's been several candlesticks that have been higher than where we are today. But from a weekly perspective, last week was the second highest ever for Bitcoin weekly inflows. You can go back to the dual screen here. I mean, essentially what this tells us is that people are buying Bitcoin through these ETFs. And, that's what we need to see, right? Ultimately, cryptocurrency needs to see net inflows from TradFi, people trading their bonds, trading their stocks, trading their dollars or euros, right? Regardless of whether it's in the United States or outside of the United States system, we need to see value come from outside of DeFi into DeFi. And that's exactly what we're seeing with this chart. So it's exciting, and it shows that the momentum for this market is not over. Is that kind of how you're reading this, Tim, as well?
Absolutely. I do think it's going to be funny, though, going forward when you think about ETFs. The concept of an ETF is taking blockchain not just specifically blockchain, but in this case, a Bitcoin or an Ethereum, or we're looking at Solana, Cardano, AVAX, Chainlink. A bunch of ETFs are being applied for, and it's looking pretty certain they're coming. It's taking blockchain and making it so you can trade it via TradFi. Okay, cool. We're going to bring some TradFi people in. Guess what's happening simultaneously? Like with that story we were just talking about with Chainlink and Binance or BNB Coin, they're working to bring stocks and TradFi into the blockchain world via tokenization. So it's going to be really interesting moving forward. Right now, the massive emergence of ETFs is important. It's bullish. It's great. I would prefer you to go buy cryptocurrency via Coinbase or Robinhood or Kraken and actually get it yourself rather than buying an ETF where you don't technically own the asset. You just own the price equivalence of the asset. It's going to be interesting what the future looks like, Shrum, as we're seeing that kind of sway in both directions. Crypto's going TradFi, but TradFi wants to go crypto. What will the next 5 years look like? I'm excited. I think more TradFi going towards crypto. I think tokenization is the future. But what do you think about that, Shrum? Are you perplexed by the same dilemma, or how do you see that playing out?
I like a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I think that holding some ETFs, especially trading ETFs, swing trading ETFs, not a bad move. If you just want to stay on a platform like Robinhood or something like that. If you really want to take trading seriously, by the way, we've partnered with BloFin. We really, really like them for crypto trading. But when it comes to ETFs, I think we're going to see a lot more acceleration before we see any kind of deceleration because it's simple. The boomers have all the money, and the boomers feel very comfortable continuing to buy ETFs rather than opening up a wallet, a crypto wallet. What the heck is that, right? So that's, I think, the main key. But look, are boomers going to have the most amount of money forever? Are they going to control billions and billions of dollars through their 401ks forever? You tell me. Going over to my screen, though, we have more ETF news, which is why I this is a data point of why we're seeing more acceleration rather than deceleration for ETF adoption for crypto. Grayscale receives approval to enable staking for its spot Ethereum ETPs, and that was also extended to Solana, but there's a little bit more complexity because technically there hasn't been a spot Solana ETF that has been approved. So it's going to be staking on futures ETFs. For those of you who are, ETF nerds like I am, that's obviously a pretty big absurdity, which does bring me to the point, Tim, that there's a good chance that we actually see quite a few crypto spot ETFs approved on the heels of this approval, which is almost in the same ballpark, which is approving staking for Ethereum and for Solana. That is just so big because now these are going to be competitive yield generators to some of the biggest dividend companies out there and dividend ETFs as well, right? If you own, shares of let's say Microsoft, you own a share, it throws off a dividend, right? You just get paid for owning the share. Now the same thing is going to happen for Ethereum and for Solana. It's going to be really interesting to see how stodgy old Wall Street institutions can justify not investing for their clients when that's been their biggest rebuttal as well. We like to have the philosophy of having yield, providing yield for our clients. Well, now you can have it and you can be in DeFi. You can get into the alternatives. So this is very, very exciting. And again, ETFs for the win, at least for now.
Yeah. I think it'd be really interesting because even with that whole conversation, obviously one of the biggest significances right now about the TradFi space and an ETF, let's say you buy Bitcoin via ETFs, you can only buy Monday through Friday. Why? Because the stock market is closed down over the weekend versus you buy on Robinhood, you buy on Coinbase, others you can buy on the weekend. But I forgot this news came out when I was in Singapore and stuff. I don't know if you talked about this in one of the news sections with our Discord group, but of course there's actually a couple weeks ago, we had the news that NASDAQ is applying and working with the SEC to potentially become a 24/7 traded company, meaning there is no closed hours. I don't think we've discussed that a whole lot on the show. Shrum, I'm going to throw it to you because, again, that's your field. How does that make you feel? Do you think that's likely? What were your thoughts when you saw that headline?
Just for the NASDAQ to trade 24/7? Yeah, I mean, they've been talking about that
tokenization, by the way, what we were talking about earlier. Yeah,
the tokenization piece is going to be a lot trickier because that right now is still it's still not legal, right? Because if in the United States, for tokenization of equities to be made available quite yet. However, Robinhood and other companies have made.
It's almost like it's coming.
It's definitely coming. It is already available in Europe, right? You can buy shares of private companies, of OpenAI and of SpaceX in Europe if you have the Robinhood app, and they're tokenized shares, right? You're not getting actual shares from the private markets. You're getting a tokenization, a tokenized share of what presumably Robinhood or a clearinghouse that Robinhood's partnered with is holding underlying. Now, I think what NASDAQ's trying to do here with 24 hours, I've heard the CEO was on the All In podcast of the NASDAQ, and she was explaining that they're going to moving towards 24-hour 5 days a week. That is probably what is going to be next, is that during the week in America, we call it the business week, right? Not the weekend. That is when it would be 24/7, pretty much nonstop. But she reminded the audience that on most brokerages, you can already trade stocks through 8 p.m. Like you can place trades up until about 8 p.m. and that the futures market really doesn't close in the same hours. So there's in a lot of ways, the stock market already is close to 24 hours. They're just taking these baby steps. But what I don't think will happen is that the weekend will be opened up anytime soon. And that's where crypto will continue to have an edge. There's talks of stock markets opening up in Dallas, right? Things like that. But at the end of the day, crypto is already here. It's already tradable 24 hours a day. And in some cases, it's way more liquid, right, at midnight on a Thursday than the stock market. So one thing I will say, though, is if you are bullish on crypto, you should look into the NASDAQ, because the NASDAQ, they are very technologically advanced, and they are ultimately very similar to what crypto is. So you can actually buy shares of the NASDAQ too. It's interesting. I won't go down that rabbit hole too far for obvious reasons, but it is an interesting company just to invest in general.
Very interesting. It's going to be a fun future. And I'll tell you what right now, guess who's going to play a role in everything we just discussed?
Chainlink.
Absolutely. Baby. Right there. Guys, that kind of wraps up what we had planned. Now it's 4:00. We're normally done. But because today was a late start, the show will go on. I know a lot of you guys have some questions. I've already tracked 2 of them. I'm sure there's more in there. But if you have any questions about stuff we've talked about so far, or if you have a different thought altogether you want to bring to our attention, go ahead and chat in right now. By the way, make sure you guys smash that like button and hit subscribe. We got to 5,000 subscribers in 1 week of being here on our second channel. How long before we get back to 60,000? That's my question. Help us out. Smash the subscribe. Go share this channel with your friends, your family, and let's get back up to that 60,000 subscriber mark. The 2 questions I tracked, and we'll be kind of quick with these, but Daniel Kaufman earlier said, would you please do Avalanche for me, Tim? I'm holding 500 Avalanche BB. I don't know what BB stands for. Big on Avalanche. I'll take a look at it here. I want to tease Thursday's video. I think it's going to be Thursday's video. There's a chance we save this video for Saturday if something pops up and I want to create more timely content on Thursday, because this is a piece of content that will kind of last. It's not really based on charts right now or anything happening. I was in Singapore and I saw a tweet from, and it was this guy saying that the future of crypto, the future of TradFi, and the future of investing in general, people are moving towards cryptocurrency. And of course, a big talk in the stock market world is the Mag 7, the Magnificent 7, big companies that are considered safe investments. Nothing's going to happen to them. You could buy now and hold for a very long time and make good money. Well, he kind of perplexed in his tweet. He's like, there will be a Mag 7 in crypto as well. And he went on to kind of post his list. I took that. I went on to our X account. Make sure you guys are following us on X. And I kind of polled it to you guys. I said, hey, drop below. What do you think? What coins, if there was a Mag 7 in cryptocurrency, what would your Mag 7 coins be? On Thursday or later this week, whether we have a Thursday video come out on that or we wait till Saturday, I'm going to be recording what I think the Mag 7 of crypto should be. Some of it's going to be obvious. I think some things almost all of us could agree these coins belong. But of course, as always, whenever you have a list that you have to limit yourself to only 7 coins, there's going to be controversy. Someone's feelings are going to be hurt. Somebody is going to get into that slot that didn't think they were going to get there. Make sure to stick around and wait for that video coming out and drop your opinions on it as well. Why do I say that? It's because Avalanche is one of those coins, and I'm not telling you my list right now, but I'll give you a hint that Avalanche is at least in that conversation that it could be one of those coins that it is a safe hold for the next 5, 10, 15 years because of what their team is working on. If you want to learn more about that, go check out our other channel, Crux of Crypto. We have so many channels now. We had to start so many channels as YouTube makes us go over here. Crux of Crypto, our fundamental leg. He is an amazing fundamental expert who breaks down the details of what's happening. He had a video where he compared AVAX to SUI. And you guys know we love SUI. SUI, if you guys are new. I realize our old channel, we called it SUI. It's a new show, new channel, new people. We might have to re-vote on how we pronounce SUI or SUI. Let me know in the comments how you think I should pronounce it. I love SUI. I love SUI. He had me walking away saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm not bullish enough on AVAX. AVAX might be a better project than SUI moving forward." Not saying it is. I'm just saying maybe. With that said, let's take a look at what AVAX is doing here on the charts. Now, this is one we were really bullish on weeks ago. We were telling you this W formation. We were telling people to buy way back here at $16 and around 50 cents, give or take. Too late to get that price level. We made our big break to the upside. We did hit some take profit levels here on $36 into that weekly smart trail. Having a little bit of a pullback there. Let's go take a look here. I don't think we're going to sell signal on the weekly chart. Yeah, definitely not a sell signal there. Let's see what the daily chart looks like really quickly. We definitely had a good sell signal back here. I was telling our group, I was in Singapore, so I couldn't do a whole lot necessarily, but scooping up back on that daily smart trail. Sure enough, anyone who listed it, I didn't buy that dip. But if you wanted to, you could have right there on that daily smart trail. It's kind of hard to say on the daily chart what the next move is going to be. Clearly, the green reversal and bullish momentum dot in play. The money flow really hasn't decided. Does it want to be positive? Does it want to be negative? I still think, though, based off the breakouts from back here, I still think the next price to look for a major resistance is going to be in the world of 46.31. And then you have that kind of target of saying, once we get to 46, do you see the longer term breakout happen and we start to make a major move out of this falling channel all the way above 100 towards $150? Or do we reject right here and have a little bit more of a pullback to downside? I think I lean towards the more bullish scenario, but that's where I kind of am at the moment. Let's just look at the 4-hour chart, though, before I let you go on AVAX and see what's going on here. I like what I'm seeing here on the 4-hour chart. While there isn't technically a green reversal down here, that's pretty definitively a green momentum dot with positive money flow there on the 4-hour chart. Pulling up our analysis here, we're wrestling with that 4-hour resistance again. But guess what? Whenever you see something like this, whenever you see a big bottom out happen and then a wrestling with resistance and you stay consolidated, I've used this analogy before, I'll use it again. When you hit resistance and you reject, that's fine. That happens. Could be the top, could not be the top. You don't really know. But when you have a small pullback and you come up and hit it again, and a small pullback and again, and again, and again, it's like taking a sledgehammer to concrete. You might not break the concrete the first time you hit it, but the more and more you slam that sledgehammer down, the concrete will weaken, and eventually that concrete will crack, and you'll boost to the upside. So we have a good signal here from the 4-hour chart. Don't want to ignore that and say it's not there, but let's get above that 4-hour smart trail and we could really rip to the upside. Again, start to target those longer term movements up here towards $46, but got to get above the 4-hour smart trail first, and then we'll talk about the $46 to $150 level for AVAX coming. All right. I'm probably going to hold off. Let's see if there's any other questions. I'm probably going to hold off on TA because we have more stuff coming. By the way, if you guys want daily technical analysis, not just from myself, but our other pro traders, we are crushing it right now. Again, I didn't trade a whole lot last week other than those 4 coins that I told all of you guys about right here free on YouTube. You go off my screen here, Smeg. Week before that, 90% win rate. Last week, I mean, I haven't closed out, but so far, if we're going to count how I trade last week, 100% win rate there. We had a lot of great swing trade ups over in our VIP trading group. Go check it out in the link down below. You want to be a part of it. Every single day, we're teaching people how to navigate these markets, how to read the analysis for themselves, both the charts, the news, how to look at the deep fundamentals of projects to know what's worth investing and what's not. You can always request technical analysis over there. Before we go, any other questions here that you see, Shrum or Smay, that we need to answer before we call it a day here?
I didn't see a ton. I mean, everybody's, of course, asking for their favorite token to be analyzed. But, Yeah,
Yeah.
Tips for Buying says Rufio nailed an ETH long yesterday. Was awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
Rufio dropped some amazing trades. He's so consistent.
Yeah, I think he's going to be dropping. I think there's been some confusion. We've taught a couple of people this, but we need to create a better video. He's going to be dropping a video this week teaching people in BloFin how to get the multiple entries and multiple exits. You guys see us talk about it, multiple entries and then like a take profit 1, take profit 2, sometimes take profit 3. How do you set those up? He will be teaching that in a video coming out this week. So VIP traders, look out for that. Actually, I think that one is going to go out even if you're a BloFin user and you're not in the trading group, but you sign it with BloFin with our link down below. I'll make sure that anyone who signed up with BloFin link has access to that. So if you don't have a place you're trading crypto right now, if you want a good exchange to with cheap fees to buy right now, you don't want to have to KYC, you don't want to have a VPN, go check out BloFin as well. Shout out to all of our partners and sponsors. Let's go ahead and wrap it up here. We're going to wrap up the show. We'll be back on Wednesday. I'll make sure at least one show a week. We kind of go light with news to do a lot more TA. But as always, I want to make sure you're clear. If you want more TA, go check out that VIP trading group. I was in Singapore last week, everybody. I'm going to kind of tell you guys how that went. First of all, I want to shout out the BloFin team. They're the ones who asked me to come out. They helped cover some of the expenses for that trip. Amazing getting to meet our developer, our dev there, Ben. He was amazing, awesome as always. Was a pleasure to spend time with him. I didn't have the greatest time in Singapore, and that's no diss to anybody who lives there. I think we actually have listeners from Singapore. Beautiful country, but I'm not going to say it didn't look good. The reason I wouldn't have a fun time is not because of you. It's not you, it's me, Singapore, right? It's my fault. I have a problem. I don't like cities to begin with, right? So I'm not a city person. I would prefer, my dream household would be like a big, like 10-acre farm in a valley between mountains. Maybe I can see one neighbor, but don't, got a lot of space, a lot of room. That's my kind of gig, not a city life. I also didn't realize until I got there, I'm not the biggest geography buff. I didn't realize it's literally right on the equator, and I'm not a heat guy. I do not like the heat, which is funny because the Lord has me living in Florida now to be closer to family, but I'm not a heat guy, right? So right there off the bat, it's a big city. It's got a lot of heat, not doing so well. Also, Asian cuisine is not my favorite. It's okay. I'll eat it from time to time. I'm more of a barbecue guy. Give me some beef ribs. Give me some steak. Give me some barbecue chicken. I was okay with it day one. I didn't realize till I got there, they put chili powder on just about everything over there in Singapore. By day 3, it was getting a little nauseous walking up and down the streets with all of those chili powder restaurants and the smells just coming in. I understand, though, why other people would love it. If you're a city person and you love the heat and you love chili powder, pack your bags right now. Go move to Singapore. It's the greatest place on earth. But it's not really my cup of tea. I say all this to kind of get into, more importantly, what happened in Singapore. I'm not going to go into detail here, but I want you guys to pay attention to this going forward. It was a good trip in the sense of I got a lot of time to myself. I'm a very what's the word? What's the word when you like spending time with people? And not an introvert, I'm an extrovert. I'm an extroverted person. I love people. I love spending time with my family. Love spending time with my friends. Love getting to talk with the guys here, Shrum and Smay and Crux and Rufio and the others. I love spending time with people. But sometimes it's really good to spend time alone. And if you're a believer like I am, when I spend time alone, I spend extra time with God. And I get to hear his voice more clearly and hear what his thoughts are about me as a person, because that's what to me is most important. I love you guys. I care about you guys. I care what you think of me, but nothing you guys say to me means anything compared to what he says about me. So to get to spend more time with him and hear him and listen to what he is calling me into, he gave me some really big vision about what this channel and what this community is going to look like moving forward. I'm not going to spoil any of it now, and it's not going to affect you guys that much, but I want you to be prepared as we step into this new season. We kind of had to start over. We had to start a brand new channel. It's a rebirth. And I think that God's giving us an amazing opportunity to bless people in a way we've never blessed them before. You guys have been awesome. Shrum and I started this company almost 3 years ago. When we did it, we both had to work side jobs for over a year to pay our own bills while we built this community. Now we have been very blessed as a company. We've hired people to help us run this. We have massive, massive vision. But my personal belief and my thought process is when you get blessed the way we have been blessed, that is something God has ordained and allowed to happen because he has a plan for you, and he's going to use you in a way that you could never believe to bless other people. And that's something that this channel is going to be all about. That is something we're going to talk about the charts every day. We're going to talk about the news. We are going to pursue financial freedom. But if there was something that I heard louder than anything else I've heard talking to God this last week, was that he reminded me over and over and over again, people are more important than profits. I love profits. We will continue to make profits. We are going to make money, and I'm going to make money for my family, and I'm going to help you make money for your family. But you're more important than your profits. If you've been having a rough time recently in investing, you need to hear that you are more important than your money. Your identity, your self-interest, what you are as a person is so much more valuable than the zeros behind the ones in your bank account. We love you guys. Look forward to a future that's exciting and amazing. We'll see you next time.